Welcome to the SWAYAM NPTEL course on Food Microbiology for Safe and Sustainable Food Systems. We were discussing food safety, packaging and food standards, and in this class we will be discussing food laws and standards. And the topic which we will be covering will include introduction, food standards and regulation in India, special responsibilities as to food safety, international organizations and agreements in the area of food standardization and quality control, microbial food safety, Indian regulations and Indian standards and microbial food safety. It is crucial that the food industry try to adopt these concepts so as to ensure food safety and quality. On the other hand, the role of regulatory agencies is of utmost importance, as they are the ones to implement the regulations and check their effectiveness. Till the advent of 21st century, a number of different laws governed the food processing sector in India. The prevailing laws and regulations adopted by the government to verify the quality of food and drugs prescribed varied standards regarding food additives, contaminants, food colors, preservatives and labeling. In order to rationalize the multiplicity of food laws, a Food Safety Standard Authority of India, that is FSSAI, was recently set up to suggest legislative and other changes to formulate a modern integrated food law, which would be a single reference point in relation to the regulation of food products. Food standards and regulation in India. Food Safety and Standards Authority of India is an autonomous body established under the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, Government of India, responsible for protecting and promoting public health through the regulation and supervision of food safety. FSSAI of India has laid down science-based standards for articles of food and to regulate their manufacture, storage, distribution, sale and import to ensure availability of safe and wholesome food for human consumption. FSSAI has been established under the Food Safety and Standards Act 2006, which is a consolidating statute related to food safety and regulations in India. This act replaced all the other food laws existed in the system, including Prevention of Food Adulteration Act, that is PFA 1954, Food Product Order, that is FPO, the Vegetable Oil Product Order, that is 1988, etc. This is an integrated food law and has created unified framework for food regulations, which has shifted primary responsibility of safety to food businesses and hence assuring food safety across the food chain and ensuring uniform application of standards and practices across the country. Thus, One Nation, One Food law came into existence. The main goal of FSSAI is to lay down science-based standards for articles of food, to regulate manufacture, storage, distribution, sale and import of food, and to facilitate food safety. This nationwide approach is being adopted in India to ensure better transparency, consistency and predictability of food business environment. Food Safety and Standards Act 2006. The Food Safety and Standards Act received the assent of the President on 23rd August 2006 and came into effect on 5th August 2011. The Act officially repeals the regulatory framework established by the previously existing 8 food laws by notification file number P15025/41/2011-DFQC issued by the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare on August 4, 2011, consolidating them into the Food Safety and Standards Rules and Regulations 2011 under a single regulator, the Food Safety and Standards Authority of India. The implementation of the Food Safety and Standards Act 2006 formally repeals the following laws: the Prevention of Food Adulteration Act, that is PFA 1954, the Food Product Order 1955, the Meat Food Products Order 1973, the Vegetable Oil Products Regulation Order 1998, the Edible Oils Packaging Regulation Order 1988, the Solvent Extracted Oil, De-oiled meal and edible flour Control Order 1967, Milk and Milk Products Order 1992, and any other order issued under the Essential Commodities Act 1955 relating to food. The Act puts in place a unified structure for all food safety related matters in the form of FSSAI at the Center and Commissioners of Food Safety at the state level and covers activities throughout the food distribution chain from primary production through distribution to retail and catering. Under this, law is significant in ensuring quality food to the consumer. It protects consumer interest by prohibiting misleading advertisement and penalizing adulterations. Additionally, there are laws to address contemporary challenges facing the sector, like provisions related to genetically modified crops, functional food, international trade in food items, etc. The following are the statutory powers that the Food Safety and Standards Act 2006 gives to the FSSAI: framing of regulations to lay down food safety standards, laying down guidelines for accreditation of laboratories for food testing, providing scientific advice and technical support to the central government, contributing to the development of international technical standards in food, collecting and collating data regarding food consumption, contamination, emerging risks, etc., disseminating information and promoting awareness about food safety and nutrition in India. Now, let us move on to some of the general provisions under the FSS Act 2006 in regard to articles of food. These are: no article of food should contain any food additive or processing aid unless it is in accordance with the provisions of the Act and Food Safety and Standards Regulations 2011. No article of food should contain any contaminant, naturally occurring toxic substances or toxins or hormone or heavy metal in excess of such quantities as may be specified by the Food Safety and Standards of Contaminants, Toxins and Residues Regulations 2011. No article of food should contain insecticides or pesticides residues, veterinary drugs residues, antibiotic residues, solvent residues, pharmacological active substances and microbiological counts in excess of such tolerance limit as may be specified, and microbiological counts in excess of such tolerance limit as may be specified by regulations. No insecticide should be used directly on article of food except fumigants registered and approved under the Insecticides Act 1968. No person should manufacture, distribute, sell or expose for sale or dispatch or deliver to any agent or broker for the purpose of sale any packaged food products which are not marked and labeled in the manner as specified by the Food Safety and Standards for Packaging and Labeling Regulations 2011. Every food business operators shall ensure that the labeling and presentation of food, including their shape, appearance or packaging, the packaging materials used, the manner in which they are arranged and the setting in which they are displayed, and the information which is made available about them through whatever medium does not mislead consumers. No advertisement should be made of any food which is misleading or deceiving or contravenes the provisions of this Act, the rules and regulations made thereunder. Now, Food Safety and Standards Regulation 2011. The Food Safety and Standards Regulations 2011 came into force on August 5, 2011. These regulations contain labeling requirements and standards for packaged food, permitted food additives, colors, microbiological requirements, etc. In all, they deal with the enforcement structure of the Food Safety and Standards Authority and the procedures to be followed by the authorities. There are total 17 regulations laid by the FSSAI for enforcement of food safety standards in India, out of which following 11 are most important. Food Safety and Standards for Packaging Regulations 2018, Food Safety and Standards for Fortification of Foods Regulations 2018, Food Safety and Standards for Organic Food Regulations 2017, Food Safety and Standards for Food or Health Supplements, Nutraceuticals, Foods for Special Dietary Uses, Foods for Special Medical Purpose, Functional Foods and Novel Food Regulations 2016, Food Safety and Standards for Food Product Standards and Food Additives Regulations 2011, Food Safety and Standards for Prohibition and Restriction on Sales Regulation 2011, Food Safety and Standards for Contaminants, Toxins and Residues Regulation 2011, Food Safety and Standards Regulation for Recognition and Notification of Laboratories 2018, Food Safety and Standards Regulation for Food Recall Procedure 2017, Food Safety and Standards Regulations for Advertising and Claims 2018, Food Safety and Standards Regulation for Import 2017. Now, special responsibilities as to food safety. Consumers have a right to expect that the food they purchase and consume will be safe and of high quality. They have a right to voice their opinions about the food control procedures, standards and activities that government and industry use to ascertain that the food supply has these characteristics. FSSAI has also set responsibilities on part of food owners, food supervisors, manufacturers, packers, etc. Let us learn about these in brief. Responsibilities of the food business operator. Every food business operator should ensure that the articles of food satisfy the requirements of the Act and the rules and regulations made thereunder at all stages of production, processing, import, distribution and sale within the businesses under his control. No food business operator should himself or by any person on his behalf manufacturer, store or by any person on his behalf manufacture, store, sell or distribute any article of food which is unsafe, which is misbranded or substandard or contains extraneous matter for which a license is required, except in accordance with the conditions of the license, which is for the time being prohibited by the food authority or the central government or the state government in the interest of public health. No food business operator should employ any person who is suffering from infectious, contagious or loathsome disease. No food business operator should sell or offer for sale any article of food to any vendor unless he also gives a guarantee in writing about the nature and quality of such article to the vendor. Where any food which is unsafe is part of a batch, lot or consignment of food of same class or description, it will be presumed that all the food in that batch, lot or consignment is also unsafe. General hygienic and sanitary practices to be followed by food business operators are covered under Schedule 4 of the licensing regulations. Now, international organizations and agreements in the area of food standardization and quality control. While there have been several international organizations and agreements playing role in enhancing food safety, quality and security, facilitating research and trade worldwide, the major organizations and agreements which have and are playing a key role are being taken up here. Codex Alimentarius. Codex Alimentarius Commission is an international body constituted by Food and Agriculture Organization, that is FAO, and World Health Organization, that is WHO, of the United Nations, with an objective to protect health of consumers and to ensure fair practices in the food trade. This Codex Alimentarius has been constituted with the help of this Food and Drug Organization of the United Nations and World Health Organizations, and the main aim of Codex Alimentarius is to protect the health of consumers, ensure fair practices in food trade, promote coordination of all food standards work. Codex prescribes international standards for safety and quality of food as well as codes of good manufacturing practices, guidelines to protect health of the consumers. These standards, guidelines and recommendations are recognized worldwide for international trade and negotiations and also for settling of disputes by World Trade Organization, that is WTO. There are codex standards for fruits and vegetables, meat and poultry products, pulses and cereals. Codex standards usually relate to product characteristics and may deal with all government regulated characteristics appropriate to the commodity or only one characteristics. Maximum residue limits, that is MRLs, for residues of pesticides or veterinary drugs in foods are examples of standards dealing with only one characteristic. There are Codex General Standards for food additives and contaminants and toxins in foods that contain both general and commodity specific provisions. The Codex General Standard for the labeling of pre-packaged foods covers all foods in this category. Because standards relate to product characteristics, they can be applied wherever the products are traded. Codex methods of analysis and sampling, including those for contaminants and residues of pesticides and veterinary drugs in foods, are also considered Codex standards. Notably, Codex Alimentarius has formulated 237 food standards for commodities, formulated 41 codes of hygienic or technological practices, evaluated 185 pesticides, prescribed limits for pesticide residues, developed guidelines for 25 contaminants, evaluated 1005 food additives, and evaluated 54 veterinary drugs. Codex India. Codex India, the National Codex Contact Point, that is NCCP for India, is located at the Directorate General of Health Services, Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, Government of India. It coordinates and promotes Codex activities in India in association with the National Codex Committee and facilitates India's input to work of Codex through an established consultation process. National Codex Contact Point, that is NCCP. The National Codex Contact Point acts as the liaison office to coordinate with the other concerned government departments at central and state level, food industry, consumers, traders, research and development institutions, and academia through the National Codex Committee and its shadow committees. It ensures that the government is backed with an appropriate balance of policy and technical advice upon which to base decisions relating to issues raised in the context of the Central Advisory Committee and its subsidiary bodies. A World Trade Organization, that is WTO. The World Trade Organization agreement covers goods, services, and intellectual property. They spell out the principles of liberalization and the permitted exceptions. They include individual countries' commitments to lower customs tariffs and other trade barriers, and to open and to keep open services markets. They set procedures for settling disputes. They set procedures for settling disputes. They prescribe special treatment for developing countries. They require governments to make their trade policies transparent. The 10 benefits of the WTO trading system include: the system helps promote peace, disputes are handled constructively, rules make life easier for all, freer trade cuts the costs of living, more choice of products and qualities, trade raises incomes, trade stimulates economic growth, the basic principles make life more efficient, governments are shielded from lobbying, the system encourages good government. Now, microbial food safety Indian regulation. In India, microbial food safety is being enforced through various regulatory mechanisms like Prevention of Food Adulteration Act 1955, Quality control orders issued under Essential Commodities Act 1955 such as Fruit Product Order 1955, Meat Food Product Order 1973, Milk and Milk Product Order 1992 and Agricultural Produce for Grading and Marking Act 1970. Agricultural Produce Act for Grading and Marking 1937. The Prevention of Food Adulteration Rules 1956. That PFA Rules 1956 specifies microbiological requirements for pathogens such as Escherichia coli, Staphylococcus aureus, Salmonella and Shigella, Vibrio cholera, Vibrio parahemolyticus, Clostridium perfringens, Clostridium botulinum, Listeria monocytogenes in foods commonly involved in foodborne diseases such as seafood, milk and milk products, meat and meat products, fruit and vegetable products, packaged drinking water, mineral water, etc. Essential Commodities Act 1955. A number of quality control orders issued under Essential Commodities Act 1955 such as Fruit Product Order 1955, Meat and Food Product Order 1973, Milk and Milk Product Order 1992. These aim at regulating sanitary and hygienic conditions at all levels of supply chain and lay down sanitary and hygienic conditions of premises, surrounding environment and personnel. Though FPO 1955 also lays down product specifications, they do not address issues related to microbiological characteristics adequately. Indian standards and microbial food safety. Limits of microbiological parameters for processed food products are specified in respective Indian standards. As far as microbiological criteria are concerned, Indian standards are elaborate. Bureau of Indian Standards, that is BIS, has formulated standards on test methods for detection and enumeration of pathogenic microorganisms in food and specification for ingredients used in media for microbiological work. BIS has also formulated code of hygienic conditions for various food industries. BIS has adopted Codex HACCP and Food Hygiene Guidelines and ISO 2200 as Indian standards.